I know, because today will be the day that it actually starts taping.
Mic.
Yeah. That would be awesome. How's it going, Monsignor?
It's going well. It's going well. It's busy. I think there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
But today is the feast of Saint Simon and Jude, and it is two of the 12 apostles, and we don't know too much about them. Jude, we know a little more because tradition says he wrote the epistle of St. Jude, which is, by the way, the shortest.
Yeah, but a good read. So
it is a good
pick up a Bible and check out St. Jude.
That would be another thing. If you're thinking of starting to read the Bible, Jude would be a very short letter that you would find interesting. And especially because it talks so much about protecting the unity of the church against false teachers, which today we have a lot of. And I'm not siding with the group that has accused our Holy Father of being a false teacher. I'm siding with the church against either priests, bishops, or even cardinals.
And lay people.
And lay people who work for the disunity against the church.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. Yeah. But they both were martyred in the Parthian Empire, and we really don't know too much about the church that went east. We know more about the church that came west into the Roman Empire, but really not a lot of it. And in the east, we have some of the most ancient of churches, and both of the Oriental, which were the group that kind of separated from the Universal Church with the Monophysite discussion, which has been resolved in with some of the churches, the Orthodox of the East, and then and then a lot of the churches have disappeared because of repeated conquests by different peoples coming through that land. So Simon and Jude were martyred, and of course everybody knows Jude because he was he's the patron saint of hopeless causes. And I always I like this one line I was reading this morning in my meditation. It's like, nobody else in heaven is listening to you, so you finally went to St. Jude. And the ancient church, I think, had a problem with Jude because his real name is Judas.
Oh, right.
Okay, and that was too close to the other guy.
Yeah.
And so they kind of shortened it, but he had a lot of different titles. St. Jude Thaddeus. In some places, they just call him Thaddeus. So, but today is a good feast.
Well, what about Simon? What's the other patron saint of?
I don't know.
Oh.
They really, didn't say that. I just know that his image, whether in an icon or in a statue, has him with a very big sword.
Oh.
Which is usually a way of knowing, how he was martyred.
Sure. Not that he used the sword. I'm looking it up.
You're looking it up? Okay. We'll find out. They really only focused on Jude.
Oh, he was called a zealot in 2 of the 4 lists of the apostles.
Yes. And
Simon was.
Simon, yes. And again, in one devotion it said because he was so impetuous when he would hear false teachings of Christ. It really was because he belonged to that revolutionary group in Palestine at the time of the Roman occupation that wanted to overthrow the Romans. And so, but he heard Jesus speak, and he was drawn to Jesus and he gave up his kind of rebellious ways.
On Franciscan media, which is always very reliable, it has St. Jude as the patron saint of desperate situations, but it doesn't say what St. Simon is the... maybe he doesn't actually have a... Maybe he's not a patron saint of anything. I'll look it up later.
Okay.
I'll post it on Facebook if I find it.
Yes.
All right, cool. So that's St. Simon and Jude, but you also alluded to the fact that people are trying to cause disunity in the church, which we don't need any more of. We have plenty of that already, so thanks a lot, guys. But we do have some...
Well, I think it's the concerted effort of certain groups, and sad to say, most of them are either in this country or also have allied themselves with certain individuals over in Italy who are dissatisfied with our Holy Father, that take his words and kind of twist it. Now, speaking of twisting his words, more and more information is coming out about the Holy Father's comments on civil unions. And it's important to realize that you have to look at all the statements that the Holy Father has made to understand his deep respect for human beings, no matter where they are, okay, and also then move in the direction of his strong beliefs in the sanctity of marriage between one man and one woman, the desire to protect the family, but also the desire to make sure that families do not persecute their own children when they discover that their children are gay or lesbians, that they do not throw them out of the family.
Right.
And all those statements that everybody attributes to the Holy Father were really statements he made over a period of time,
Right.
and then were kind of spliced together. That is it. And you've heard me say this many times. You can't, and I know we're on YouTube and Facebook, but you can't always believe what you see. And I don't care if the guy talking to you has a Roman collar, like some of the detractors, or even our bishops. They have a right to their opinion, and their opinions can be wrong. But I think it's so important that you keep focus on viable and newsworthy Catholic news outlets. And I want to specifically mention Crux, C-R-U-X, and also Catholic News Agency. And Crux is an independent news service that began as an arm of the Boston Globe to create a vehicle to present Catholic news. The Globe gave it up. The Knights of Columbus stepped in to support it, and now it is an independent agency. Catholic News Agency is a news agency connected with EWTN. So you have a wide spectrum of resources, and I really look at both of them. And
The Vatican has its own news
and the Vatican has its own news
outlet. They're reliable too.
So those are really the three you should focus on. There's a couple such as Church Militant and LightSight that have a definite agenda, and their agenda is not for the unity of the church. I don't care how Catholic they might look. They do not care for the unity of the church. And their view on the truth of the church's teaching is very slanted. And I've said it, and I'll stand by it. But I think it's so important that we as Catholics keep focus on the truth and the unity of our church, especially since there's so much disunity in the world today. The church must stay united. And our Holy Father has not said anything wrong. He has not said anything contradictory to church teaching. All he has said has been in context with a desire for the church to be a place where people meet mercy. And I think you said it beautifully last week when you talked about, if you look at the gospel, even those who disagreed with Jesus, Jesus never hated
No,
or condemned.
right.
And for the people who like to condemn, be mindful that Jesus also said, "Judge not, lest you be judged." And
The way that you judge is how you're going to be judged.
and I really worry about a lot of people who like to judge. In fact, I think the bishops' conference said if you spend all your time judging people, you don't have
time to love them. Now, I think it was Mother Teresa. I posted that yesterday. It was
Mother
Mother
Teresa. Mother
but
Teresa
the
said that.
USCCB posted it. Yeah.
Yes, and she's a saint. So, I know there's a few saints in heaven that I'm going to be afraid to meet when I finally get there after spending a long time in purgatory. But
But you're not going to be afraid to meet her. You already met her.
I did meet Mother Teresa.
Lucky duck.
Yes, that was a remarkable meeting
Yeah.
and everything. So, but anyway, that's our statement on our Holy Father and on church unity. We need to pray for unity, which is a sign of the church, one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic.
Mm-hmm. That's right. One. Not meaning we're the only one, but that we're supposed to be one in unity, the body of Christ.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm going to get right back on my soapbox if we keep talking, so I'm going to leave it there. All right.
And her soapbox has 3 steps to it.
At least. And it's enormous. If only I used it for cleaning. Anyway, the Mass book is open today, the 2021 Mass book. It is only going to be, Mass intentions will be taken for the period of January through February 16th. There's a whole bunch of limitations on it because we're only opening it up for a couple of months because we don't know what our Mass schedule is going to be. So we're trying to be responsible and make sure that we are taking intentions that we know we can fulfill, but also, if we wind up getting more adding more masses to the schedule, then we'll be able to offer more masses for intentions. So you have to come in person, bring the full name of the people. It's got to be like Mr. and Mrs. You cannot make masses for saints; they don't need them. Or people who aren't not famous people either.
Well, I think it's important. I think it's important, number one.
No passage.
Since we do not, stop it, Frank. Since we do not know what the future holds, and the numbers are going up, and people continue to act irresponsible, and for all the people who are acting responsible, God love you, but too many still think this is the flu or a bad flu, and people are still dying from this virus. So I think it is prudent that when we open up, we take our time. And so we will only have 3 masses on the weekend, and we will only have an 8 a.m. mass. And we can only take, and we will only take, 2 intentions for each of those masses. Okay, I know we've had many intentions because we've been kind of combining them for people who, when we had our 5 masses. Well, we're not going to have 5 masses on the weekend. We will not have 2 masses during the week. And so therefore, we will not take intentions for the living. If you want to have a candle lit for the living, we can do that. But we will not take intentions for masses. The masses will be mostly for those who have died. We will not take multiple intentions. We will only take 2. And we'll only allow each family 1 during this initial opening.
Which is
Okay?
really just 2 months.
Which is really 2 months.
Not even a month.
Well,
a month and a half.
Yeah, it's a month and a half. Hopefully in Lent, we will see what happens by then. That'll give us a better understanding of what we're dealing with. And that's it. I don't want to have phone calls. Do not email me about it. And don't tell me that you've had this Mass said, since the last 25 years. It's a pandemic. This is what we're doing to protect our people and to also protect the integrity of the custom of having masses said. All right? So, it's settled.
It's settled. So be it. If I had a hammer, I would go like that. Not a hammer. What is it?
A gavel.
A gavel.
We got.
If I had gravel,
we had gravel in the back. We have gravel all over the
I'll
place.
just toss it on the
Yes.
table. Okay.
If I had a mic.
That's it. You could drop a mic. Yeah. I looked around for one, like there was going to be one here. There isn't.
They're in the sacristy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're too
Stay away
expensive.
from them.
Yeah, don't you
They're
dare
too
drop them, right?
expensive to drop.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. And now you want to talk about the cleaning efforts that we're making in the church.
Yes, I just want to give a shout out to both Frank Estamera and Ed Kane and the efforts that our parish has been giving to the cleaning of our church. First of all, to the people of God, you're wonderful in wiping down after yourself. Okay, the one thing I would ask is, do not leave the wipes in the hymnal holders.
Oh my gosh, I keep seeing people, yeah.
Okay?
That's-
Do not leave it. And especially those of you who are coming to the 4:30 Mass. Last Sunday, they were all over the place. Folks, if you're wiping down your own place, you're not wiping somebody else's germs. You're wiping your germs. So your germs know you, and they're not going to affect you. So you can throw that wipe in the trash can near where the wipes and the hand sanitizer is. Please. Now, also, besides the wiping and the hand sanitizing, we have invested resources to buy sprays and equipment that kill germs. And one of our newest equipment is an
Atomizer.
atomizer.
Atomizers, yeah.
And it really is this wonderful spray. In fact, just this morning, Frank and I were talking, and it's the same equipment they're using on some of the airlines.
Oh,
To spray the seats in the
To spray the seats and everything. And what it does is it kind of encompasses the object and kills everything that might be on that object.
make sure there's no little old ladies sitting there.
No, we don't.
They're very small.
We don't spray little old ladies.
Sometimes they're very tiny.
So, and we hope to continue to be able to provide resources that will keep our church and our church hall especially extra clean, so that we destroy any type of germs, and not just the coronavirus. We're looking at the flu virus. We're looking at a variety of illnesses that we don't need to spread.
The bubonic plague.
Okay.
Could
What?
happen.
That made a resurgence.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, yeah, it did, and not in America. but-
Okay. Oh, that's all right. Does that give us 6 or 7 plagues so far?
Oh, I think
We're keeping
on-
count.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think you should know what is being done to keep your church clean and safe for the people of God. So thank you, and we'll continue to do our best.
Mm-hmm. And for reals, Eddie has barely had a day off in a long time. So, all right. So this Saturday, the torches are coming.
The torches are coming. The torches are coming. Yes. About a couple of years ago, in our diocese, we began a devotion called the Torches of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And these are torches that will travel through our diocese in each of our counties. And it's an opportunity to gather, to pray, and to focus on Our Lady of Guadalupe, who is not only the patroness of Mexico and Central America, but of the Americas. Our Holy Father, Saint John Paul II, proclaimed Our Lady of Guadalupe the patroness of the Americas. And she comes to us through these torches as the bearer of light. She bared the light of God into the world when she gave birth to Christ, the Word incarnate. and she also leads us to that light in our prayer. And I think it is so important that we realize that Our Lady of Guadalupe is also a symbol of how the faith of the apostles that was enculturated into the Roman Empire, enculturated into a new Europe once the various nations began to mold, continued to be enculturated into the New World and continues to be enculturated into the cultures that embrace the gospel even today. And that enculturization is not a bad word. It is not a word that is anti the Roman tradition. It is the foundation of how the Roman tradition came about. And to those who have a problem with it, learn the history of the church. But I think it is also one of our priests always calls that image the only image that God gave of his mother.
Oh, interesting.
When you think about it, all the other images are images that the artist portrayed in understanding. Now, there are a couple of traditions that say Saint Luke, who met the Blessed Mother and heard from her, the nativity story and a lot of the other stories when he was putting his gospel together. These are pious traditions. Also painted a couple of icons that are still around. Our Lady of Czestochowa supposedly was painted by St. Luke. And the miraculous icon in Rome, Our Lady, Health of the People of Rome, were painted by St. Luke. Legend tells us, pious legend tells us. But Our Lady of Guadalupe was designed and imprinted as a miracle on the cloak of Juan Diego by Our Lady. And so it is an image from heaven. And it is an image that tells us that the love of God, his Son Jesus Christ, and even his Holy Mother are open their arms to all people and will be present to all people. And I think at this time in our history, especially with all the upheaval that is being caused by the pandemic, we need to look to Our Lady to be our mother, who will always be there for us.
Absolutely. So on Saturday, the
torches will be blessed. They will also be sent out and start looking at various bulletins to find out the prayer services that will be taking place.
Are we going to keep a torch?
We're keeping a torch, and probably next week we'll have the praying of the rosary throughout the week.
Oh, okay, great. There'll be more information on that when we know what it is. Okay, cool. The Interfaith Thanksgiving service is going to be coming up on November 22nd. Yeah, 22nd, which is a Sunday. It'll be here in person, but it'll also be online. It will be at 7 p.m. I don't think we're going to have to limit how many people come unless everything goes, worse with the pandemic, because typically we get, less than 200 people or around 200, and, our church can fit 150-ish. So, socially distanced. So I don't think we're going to have an issue there, but we will also have information on how to view it online.
Yes.
Which reminds me, John and I went to EHAP yesterday to drop off some adult diapers, and Joan Mandel gave us the 20-cent tour, and I got to see, their operations and whatnot, and we were talking about the overnight program that we usually host here on Thursday nights, and Joan sent a letter for me to send to the Clergy Association, but they're not going to be doing that this year. They're going to try to focus more on advocacy for the men who are experiencing homelessness, and try to put them up in motels and stuff. So if it is in your heart to assist EHAP in this, again, our parish is usually one of the host sites for them throughout the winter, where they can stay overnight in safety and warmth in our hall. they need monetary donations for that. So if you want to donate to EHAP, please, you can send a check here and I'll make sure it gets there, but write it out to EHAP. And like I said, we'll get it there. They also need donations of body wipes, because again, these people who are experiencing homelessness do not have access to a shower. And they need adult diapers still. There's one client who is always looking for sweatpants, if anybody wants to donate sweatpants, and they need masks. There's a bunch of other items that they need also, and if you want to check them out on Facebook, I'm sure they have a list of items there too. It's EHAP, EHAP. Yeah. So check out EHAP and please support them as much as possible.
I think it's important to realize the coronavirus has disrupted every element of our lives. And instead of complaining about it, I think we need to accept it and find the Lord's presence there for us. As Catholics, we need to be people of patience. We need to be people of perseverance. We need to be people of hope. And one of my prayer images that I've been focused on during these last 7 months is Jesus walking on the water. And I offer to you this reflection, and you'll hear it a couple of more times as we go through. It tells us that the apostles were got into the boat and were sent ahead of Jesus. Jesus was on the mountain praying that night, and they were sent in the boat. And of course, the boat has always been seen as the church, the bark of Peter. Okay, and what happens? But the wind is against it. Okay, the waves are turbulent and are tossing it back and forth. And who comes walking in the third watch but Jesus,
Who everybody mistakes for a ghost.
and of course in their fear they shout out. And what does he say? He says, be quiet, it is I, be not afraid. And I think those of us who will remain in the boat need to be quiet, be not afraid. But then again, there will be those, God love them, who will say, Jesus, Lord, call me and I will come to you. And that are those who step out of the boat to walk to the Lord, to be in the midst of the waves, the wind, the turmoil, the fears. And sometimes we become afraid and we begin to sink. But it will be Jesus who will stretch out his hand, lift us up, get us back in the boat and say, let's keep moving. And we move forward. My brothers and sisters, in your prayer, what are the fears that toss and turn your lives around? Identify them, recognize them, give them to the Lord. And as we travel through this period, and trust me, it's going to still be quite a while. Remember when they said we'll be closed for about 2 weeks? Okay.
Yeah.
And that was 7 months ago. Be mindful that he still stands in the midst of the storm, beckoning us to come to him, and he will lift us up. But be not afraid.
Nice reflection, Monsignor. That's a good thing to take to prayer, because there are people who are feeling more and more anxious these days as it continues. And I think that, I'm getting lots of phone calls actually from parishioners who are feeling anxious and want to know, when are we going to be able to take off our masks in church? When are we going to be able to sing? They feel like they're being, suffocated in a way. And I think that anxiety, is rather suffocating. So, that's a very nice image to take to prayer. Thank you for that. I think that's all we had.
Okay. We'll see you at Mass.
Just a quick shout out to Marion. She looked up and she shared with us that Simon preached the gospel in Egypt and later joined Jude Thaddeus in Persia, where he was crucified. Simon is the patron saint of curriers, tanners, and sawyers.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much.
You just saved me some work. Nice.
I knew he was martyred with St. Jude. That's kind of why they connect them in Persia, or the Parthian Empire. At the time, it was the Parthians who who ruled what is today Persia and a lot of the Middle East. But tanners and what else?
Curriers, tanners, and sawyers.
What's a sawyer?
I don't know what a sawyer is. But couriers, remember,
They-
couriers are part of the essential workers
Oh yeah.
during this pandemic. So to all those who work in the delivery of whatever, whether you're delivering for Amazon, ShopRite, Grubhub, or any of those things, you're a courier, and today is your feast day. So, may Saint Simon watch over you, protect you and your family as you continue to serve the greater good.
A sawyer is exactly what it sounds like. Somebody who saws timber for a living. A lumberjack.
A lumberjack.
Simon's a
lumberjack.
lumberjack and he's okay.
Yeah. Tom Sawyer was a lumberjack.
No, Tom Sawyer was not a lumberjack. Okay, before this degenerates into, God
Monty
knows.
Python.
Monty Python, yes. God
Nobody
bless.
expects the Spanish Inquisition. Inquisition. All right, anyway, I think we've sung that like 3 weeks in a row.
I
So
know,
yeah, have
I
a
know.
great day. See you at Mass.
See you at Mass. God bless.